My fellow casters, I know what we have been through. It is a very hard time for us right now. As we already know, Castor is a nation inhabited by over 1 billion of citizens on a single island. Due to the overpopulation, this nation currently facing a lot of challenge, from drug war to overcrowded jail, which lead to an economic crisis. This crisis had caused this nation to be on the brink of collapsing. Suddenly, things got from bad to worse with the outbreak of a new respiratory disease, IMPF31, that originated from cats. The outbreak spreads like wildfire, and the situation will only get worse if quick action is not taken. So I come to you through your screen today with one question and one question only. How long? How long we are gonna be in this situation? Somebody got to save this. And we are the one, not just me, not just you, but all of us. Because a tiny stone thrown in a pond, they can create tremendous ripples. And today, we need more ripples than ever before. So now allow me, as your Deputy Prime Minister, to introduce you our new policy to rescue casters from this conflict, that is the 420 policy. The number 4 here means that we have 4 main action to be taken. That is limited motion command, cat howling and contact tracing, cannabis sativa legalization, women enlightenment program. That's the 4 main action. And every 20 days, we're gonna observe how the plan going and make improvement to the plan. The 420 here also resemble our target that in 420 days, the caster problem would resolve. So without further ado, let's begin with our first plan, which is limited motion command. This limited motion command is planned to resolve the IMPF31 pandemic. So what is limited motion command? Basically, limited motion command is just an improvised version of the one we caster had been hit when the COVID-19 hit us 10 years ago. So why we would use the same approachment when we hit with the COVID-19 10 years ago? Because COVID-19 and IMPF31 have a lot in common. As we can see, both of them are zoonotic, asymptomatic for 3 weeks, have high rate of transmission, and also target the respiratory tract. And the symptom looks like high fever, coughing, and flu. So let me explain furthermore about this limited motion command. This limited motion command requires caster to stop mass gathering in crowded place and coffin place that don't allow 3-meter physical distancing to be made. And we will not make any limit for a person entering an event, as we discern that every event have different capacities. So it is okay as long as 3-meter physical distancing can be met. All of the caster also need to follow the standard operation procedure, which is the 3-meter physical distancing, practicing sanitizing hands, wear a mask. All of these are compulsory. No double standard here. As for those who disobedient with this limited motion command, the action will be taken to them under the Emergency Pandemic Disease Act. I'm certain that all of the customers will ask, how about the economy, our education? Don't worry. The economic activity will continue, but only by following the standard operation procedure that has been explained earlier. For the restaurant and premises that sell food and beverages, we only allow their product to be sold in takeaway. Why? Because we want to break the chain of IMPF 31. For the school, we have decided to allow only one batch to enter a school in a day with the SOP of checking every student temperature, maintaining physical distance, wearing a mask, and practicing self-hygiene. For the university, they will also operate as usual, but with the SOP as same as the school. We also didn't forget about the influx of illegal immigrants and the human trafficking issue during this pandemic. So, we had organized an illegal immigrant contract working program. This program will be put under limited motion command, and the illegal immigrants will not be left out. We will provide shelter to illegal immigrants only with a labor contract. In other words, we will tie a contract to the immigrant by giving their job opportunity as labor, so they will give back to this customer nation. I think limited motion command or LMC had been informed. So let's move on to the next pen, cat howling and contact tracing. As for cat howling, we would instruct a special force to find stray cat in the street, to isolate them and give every cat a test of IMPF 31. As this virus is came from a cat. Unlike the COVID-19, you cannot see bat everywhere in your street, but you can see cat in your street everywhere. So we can give them a test to make sure that all of the cat in this cluster nation is not positive with IMPF 31. So what about the cat in the home or in the house? So we will also instruct the special force to go to every neighborhood in this nation and test every cat in the house for if the cat is positive, we will take them into a specific place and quarantine and treat them. So we will make this clearly. So we will not harm any cats. We just take the cat and also treat them if they are positive. So for this contact tracing plan, we would track someone who had been in contact with a positive IMPF 31 patient and give them a free test for IMPF 31. As we know that with our economic crisis, we couldn't afford to test everyone for free. But we still managed to test the person who had high chance to be infected with. For the budget, don't be distressed. I have heard your concern about our economic crisis, and we have decided to accept the loan from the World Economic Bank to get a free test for this contact tracing and cat howling program. Don't worry, this loan is not from a loan shark, so no one will go to our house or to our country building and go throw red paint on our house or country building. And we will also pay back this loan with our Cluster Economic Stimulate Initiative Program that will furthermore explain in the next action. The next action is about the Cannabis Sativa Legalization Plan. So what is Cannabis Sativa actually? Cannabis Sativa is actually a plant that contains chemical compound that is cannabinoid or commonly known as marijuana. So why on the earth would we legalize that? It is scientifically proven that cannabis sativa that contains chemical compound called cannabinoid or CBD doesn't cause any harm as any other drugs, and it is actually safer than a pack of cigarette that contain nicotine. So if cigarettes are legal, why don't marijuana? So we will also put this legalization of cannabis sativa under the Alcohol Act, which means that people can drive and smoke marijuana in the same time. This legalization also would make our economy stable by charging tax to the marijuana company as the industry is no longer in the black market. So this plan is actually carefully planned to resolve the drug war, overcrowded jail, and also the economic crisis that Custer had been hit to. The next one, Women Enlightenment Plan. So why we need to make this plan? It is actually to give higher education standard so the woman would have more commitment and would make less birth and solve the overpopulation. How? By giving more scholarship to women. So that's basically the 4 main action that we will make or that we will taken in this 420 policy. So now I will pass the floor to our Prime Minister to answer the question by the media.
Thank you so much, Mr. Aiman, for the elaborate explanation on the 420 policy, which has been crafted by us carefully to find a solution or to solve the problem that we are currently facing, including the IMPF, overpopulation, economic crisis, drug war, and even overcrowded jail. So I am here today to receive questions from my beloved custodians out there. So feel free to ask and don't be afraid. So the first question is from Lokman Hanafi. Is it really safe to legalize marijuana? Just like Mr. Aman said earlier, marijuana is less addictive than alcohol and a pack of cigarettes. Why? Because CBD and THC only affect the cannabinoid system in our brain, which slow down our stimuli towards stimulus, which means that in general, which means that it can affect us by giving us feeling of euphoria, which can cause a lot of problems such as depression, anxiety, and PTSD. It can also solve, because it slowed down our reaction towards stimuli, it can also solve muscle spasm, such as the Parkinson disease. It is already proven that cannabis sativa can help in all of these problems. So, is it safe to legalize marijuana? As the methodology stated, we have said that the law regarding marijuana or cannabis sativa is just like those that regarding alcohol. For example, underage use is prohibited. Drug driving is also prohibited, just like alcohol. So what the little changes that we have in marijuana is, first we license the plantation of marijuana. As you know, marijuana, just like I said, contains CBD, and there are also THC. CBD is a good part, while THC is a bad part. So if we license the plantation of marijuana, we can control the type of plant that us custodian can plant. So this means that the marijuana plant will not have overdosage of the THC and CBD, which is unnatural for human consumption. So the other point is, marijuana is just like any other substance in the world, such as sugars, which is safe. But if you take it excess amount, it will be dangerous because it can cause many problems such as obesity and diabetes. Also fat. If you take too much, you can get high cholesterol and lead to cardiac disease. So every substance in the world is the same. You cannot take excess amount. But just like Mr. Aiman said earlier, marijuana is one of the least addictive drugs out there, which means for you to get overdosed by this drug is very low. And you can stop this drug anytime without having a serious effect on your mental and physical issues. And physical health, sorry. So I think that answers your question, whether it is safe to legalize marijuana. Why us women have to be enlightened? Is this some kind of gender discrimination? If you understand the term woman enlightenment seriously, it is said that enlighten means we educate. That's why we educate women. So gender discrimination is out of the picture. Instead of gender discrimination, we are actually empowering women. So in the Women Enlightened program, we actually want to solve the case of overpopulation. Well, it is quite a broad situation where you can stop overpopulation by educating women. But to make it in simple terms, when women study or when women work or when women study overseas, they will get married late. And when they get married late, they will have less time with their husband, or maybe they don't have husbands at all. So as educated women, they know how to control their household, which is financially, and they know that they don't want that much children as it is going to affect their financial and how much love they are giving to the children. For example, as an educated woman, you have less time at home, which means in this example, I will give you 10 chocolates. These chocolates are time and affection for your children. So imagine you have 10 chocolates and you have 5 children. Each children will receive 2 chocolates, which means that the children only get 2 chocolate each, which is they get love and affection and time, but they don't get enough. So instead, you have 10 chocolates and you have only 2 children, which means both children can get 5 chocolates, which are enough time, affection, and love that they deserve. These 3 key points are what building people into a good model in the near future. With enough love, affection, and time spent on the children, they will have less chance to become a juvenile criminal or even criminal in the near future, which can affect the country in the long term. And with the decrease in human spawn rate, it can also affect the overpopulation crisis that we are currently having. So I guess that answers your question. Is there any more question? How can the legalization of cannabis make castor economy stable? As we know, castor receive monsoon season 2 times a year, which means that our country is located in the tropics near the equator. So this means that the plantation of cannabis sativa can grow healthily and grow well in this country, which means that our country can start, for those who already know where this is going, we can start commercializing the cannabis sativa. As you know, the trending of the usage of cannabis sativa has been rising 60% in the past 5 years. And it is thought to be decreasing or accelerating in the coming years. So if we start now, we can actually help the country economy very well in the near future, because the usage or other countries are using cannabis sativa more because they are getting the awareness that this drug is actually beneficial. So cannabis sativa can be used in 2, which are recreational and medical use. Medical use meaning that you take this plant and you convert it into something more, into something edible, or you make it into another form instead of smoking, which is recreational. If you change it into something new, you can only take the CBD, which is the good part of this cannabis sativa, and you can help using this to solve all the problems that I've said earlier: depression, PTSD, anxiety, and even Parkinson's disease. There are even people who claim that this can help in cancer, but it's still not confirmed. So if we have a lot of cannabis sativa in our nation, we can help in research and development on the products that we can use in order to sell our cannabis sativa into other countries. So is there any other question? Okay, I understand that all of you have a plan on having many children. But like I said earlier, the affection that you want, or the affection and time that you will be giving to your children will be quite limited. So because by giving out scholarship to women will be more productive in other sector, such as the economics, or maybe even help in the new cannabis sativa sector. So when women are more productive, that means they will have less time at home. Like I said earlier, it will have less time at home, it will spend less time with their husband, thus causing them to have less children. Such as in other developed country in the world, where when the country become more developed, the women become more empowered, more educated. So the trend graph for human spawn rate in this country is decreasing, which is good, because the world now has about 8 billion people, and if it keeps growing, it will lead to worldwide overpopulation. But because of the graph decreasing, because human spawn rate, now the average human spawn rate is 2 per family, it can actually help with our overpopulation. So why is overpopulation a really huge impact on this country? Firstly, we need to know that this country has an economic crisis, which means the school, such as the government school or the public school, will cannot take care of that many children. So it is actually risky for women or educated women to get more children. I suggest them better to have less children and focus more on them so they can be more successful in the future. So next question. Dargon is worried about Custer due to financial reason. Will marijuana just add up the reason why Dargon should leave? So marijuana legalization, like I said earlier, is not that negative. Okay? Like in many developed countries, they are also starting to legalize marijuana because they are developed and they can help in their economics. Like I said, the usage of marijuana throughout the last 5 years have been increasing is 60%, which means that it will receive more in the next year and the other year after that, which means our country will be economically strong and we will probably monopoly the production of cannabis sativa, because we are one of the first nation who legalize it nationwide and provide plantation where we can commercialize this thing. So Dargon is worried about Custer due to financial issues, right? So if we solve the financial issues in the future, I think they will be more dependent on us because of our new cannabis sativa legalization. So they will become part of us. Together we will strengthen the power of our economic in the cannabis sativa. So I think I have explained it thoroughly. So thank you for the question. It is a really good question. Oh, and for those who don't know, Dargon is actually a state in Custer which wants to leave the country due to financial issue. Dargon is one of the most advanced states in Custer. So if we become more advanced than them because of the new cannabis sativa policy, we can probably attract them back to become one of us. Okay, next question. Is there any more question? It is still very early to end this press conference, so I guess I suggest you to ask more questions, please. The fact that women can also reject those scholarship for their children. Okay, the scholarships are not given after the women start having children. It will be given after they finish high school, which they can, if they are already educated, which we give the scholarship to these educated women, which means they will not, it is just past high school. And the spawn rate start for women is in 20 years of age, which means from then they don't have their children yet. but instead they can go take the scholarship and help the country. So if they reject the scholarship, it is fine because we can give it to other women who really want the scholarship. So like, I can see that those who reject this scholarship are actually the minority. So actually majority will accept the scholarship because it's free money. And it is simple human psychology that people will take free money. So if people reject the scholarship for their children, I think it is out of the picture because scholarships are given to students who just finished their high school, which they don't have children yet, but they are planning to have children. So by giving them scholarship, we can make them more educated, make them plan their household, make them plan their financial, and probably lead to the economic crisis of this country or even the overpopulation problems in the country to be out of the picture. So thank you, Ben Azubir, for the question. I really appreciate it. Is there any other question? Feel free to ask.
So I have seen so many of you have made a question to the Prime Minister, and like I said earlier, we will make an improvement every 20 days. So I have heard your concern about the marijuana, about the woman and some, and also we will make this progress or we make change for better when we have observed the 20-day period. So don't worry about your concern about, oh, this marijuana is haram and also more. Don't worry, this action will be based on the observation of the 20 days observation period, like I said earlier. So to sum up, we have told you about the 4 main plan of our action to save customers from this problem. As we can see, after these 4 action have been taken, we can stabilize our economy by what? By using the cannabis sativa legalization plan. So when we have stable our economy, all of our problem can be solved, such as the territorial segregation of Dargon. There is one of our state in the Caster country, in the Caster nation. So we can also give our economy stable back. So which means that our 4 main action today will be based on the 20 days observation period, and all of your concern will also be heard by us. So that's all from us. I hope all of the question that have been answered by the Prime Minister. That's all for us for now. Thank you.